Live from ETM Studios, it's Southeastern Sports Network Daytona 500 show. And now, get ready to welcome your host, Thomas. Welcome to the Daytona 500 show here on the Southeastern Sports Network. Before we get to the Daytona 500, though, we've got to talk about the new change that NASCAR made, considering how we crown a new champion. So for that, let me go ahead and tell you what we've been doing. And up until 2004, we had the Winston Cup point system. That was a full 36 race schedule and 36 point event. That decided our champions for the longest time. Then we went to the chase for the Cup in 2004 to 2013. And then during that stretch of a period, first you had 10 drivers make the chase for the Cup, and it was 10 tracks that always ended at Homestead. Then in 2006, it went from 10 to 12 drivers. And a little history about that scenario, that time frame, from 2004 to 2013, Jimmy Johnson won, count them up, 6 times, 6-time champ in that time frame, including winning 5 in a row and stealing a 2007 championship from one of my favorite drivers, Jeff Gordon, in the process, as Kurt Busch stole another championship from Jeff Gordon in 2004. But that's neither here nor there. And you also had Tony Stewart, won 2 of his 3 championships during the chase for the Cup in 2005, and then in 2011, where he dominated the chase for the Cup, winning 5 out of 10 races, and one of the best postseason runs in NASCAR history. I could really consider the best postseason run, actually. So, and then after that, we moved into the 2014 season. We moved into the playoff era, which was 3-3-3-1. We still had 10 race stretch, but now we're broken down. We've got 16 drivers. You win, you're in. You win during the regular season, you're in the playoff. And then after every third race, we had 4 drivers eliminated until we get down to the championship 4, which was held at Homestead, and then it switched over to Phoenix. So that was a very interesting time frame, but that is now all old news. Because starting in 2026, starting today, we have the chase for the Cup. Welcome back again. So we still have the 10 races, but there is no eliminations. It's 10 tracks. The championship finale has moved back to Homestead this year. You have 16 drivers now in the chase for the Cup. So that is new. That's new from the previous system. And also the points seating has went up. Your first place will get 2,100, and then your 16th place will get 2,000. That's about a 100-point gap, which is critical, quite frankly. And now race wins are worth 55 points. That is up from 15 points from the last couple of years. So that's a look at the new format for the upcoming season. And quite honestly, my take on this new format, I love it. First of all, you can't go back to the full 36 race stretch in the old days, because there's a lot of concern that somebody could lock up that title before the last race of the year, and that it would be considered quote-unquote boring. So that wasn't an option. That's what Mark Martin and some of the drivers wanted, and a lot of fans. I like the new chase format. That's what I grew up on as a kid. I grew up on that stretch. There was a lot of great racing, a lot of fantastic finishes, and a lot of tight championship points that was won or lost during these races. And you had a lot of drivers doing a lot of spectacular things. What comes to mind is Jimmy Johnson's run in 2005. In 2004. He came up short, but he had a 4 race winning streak that year. In the final 10, you look at that. I look at Tony Stewart's dominance, 5 out of 10 in 2011 to win the championship. And I think, there's also other years where we had other drivers go on and win 2 or 3 times and really be very consistent. You had the championship battle between Jeff and Jimmy in 07. You had the battle between Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin in 08. I mean, excuse me, 09. You had Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards in 08. So very interesting. And then you had Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamlin in 2010. Maybe Denny Hamlin's best opportunity to win a championship that he did not get done. But that's my opinion. I like it. It's better. It's new. Supposedly, we're going to be rotating the tracks in the final 10, which is a plus. That's a positive. So, again, I like it. Good job, NASCAR. Now let's talk about the Daytona 500 week and the qualifying. So let's go ahead and talk about that Daytona 500 qualifying. So you have your first two drivers on Wednesday. Your first two fastest drivers set the Daytona 500 field. That is Kyle Busch on the pole, and on the outside pole, you have Chase Briscoe in the number 19 Toyota. Kyle Busch in the zone number 8 Chevrolet of RCR. Briscoe drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. So you have the qualifying set the first and second position, and that's it. Where it gets interesting is you get to Thursday, you get to the dual races at 7. They started around 7 o'clock, which that's a late start. It used to be, back when I was growing up, it used to be at 2 o'clock. Matter of fact, in middle school, I used to go into the library and was watching one of the principals and the teachers, was letting me go in there and watch the dual race. I believe that was the one Dale Earnhardt Jr. won back in 04, I believe. It was either 04 or 03 when he won that race and spanked the field. So you get your dual races on Thursday, and what these do is these set up the Daytona 500 positions 3 through 40th. So as we're going to go see through here, and as you can tell by starting number 3 and number 4, Joey Logano won the first American 250 Florida duel, which growing up they were called the Gatorade duels. And then the second dual race was won by Chase Elliott. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the starting grid. You've got Ryan Blaney starting 5th, Carson Hocevar starting 6th, Austin Dillon starting 7th. You've got Larson at number 8. You've got Brad Keselowski at number 9, and that's interesting. Then you've got Michael McDowell, a Daytona 500 winner, at number 10. John Hunter Nemechek at number 11. Then you got Christopher Bell at number 12. Shane Van Grinzenberg at number 13. I want people to watch out for this cat right here because he has really done a number on the road courses this year. Now, yeah, road course is different than a super speedway. Yes, I understand that. But the Daytona 500, one of the things you need to win here is luck. And you need speed. And this guy knows a lot of speed. He might just get lucky and snatch a 500. So at number 14, there you go. 14, you've got Josh Berry. 15, you got Daniel Suarez. 16, you got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17, Casey Mears. Interesting story about Casey Mears. He actually had a crash on the last lap in the first dual race, but kept her going and ended up making the Daytona 500 field. 18, you got Todd Gilliland. 19, Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece coming off that win last week at the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. Number 20, you've got Ty Gibbs. Keep an eye on Ty Gibbs. 21, you've got Bowman the showman. 22, you've got Denny Hamlin. Very interesting. Keep your eye on Hamlin. At 23, you got Cole Custer. At 24, you've got Eric Jones. Keep an eye on him. 25, Noah Gragson. 26, Tyler Reddick, another one to keep an eye on. 27, Bubba Wallace, another one to keep an eye on. And I would not be surprised if we see Bubba Wallace take home the Harley J. Earl Trophy on later on this afternoon. And number 28, you got Riley Herbst. 29, you got Corey Heim. 30th, you got Zane Smith. 31st, you got 7-time Jimmy Johnson. And at number 84, Toyota. That's kind of weird, seeing him in a Toyota. At number 32, you've got the rookie Connor Zillich making his first start in the number 88 Chevrolet for 2026. Number 33, you've got Cody Ware. 34, Ty Dillon. 35th, AJ Allmendinger. 36, you've got Austin Cindric. Keep an eye on Austin Cindric because Austin Cindric has won this race, and he has been a factor the last couple of years in the top 5. Number 37, Ross Chastain. Keep an eye on him. 38, BJ McLeod. 39, William Byron. Number 24, Chevrolet. Let's get it done, William Byron. I'm a big William Byron fan. Number 40, Justin Allgaier. And the number 40, Junior Motorsports, Chris Stapleton Chevrolet, Whiskey Travelers. Number 41st, you got Chris Buescher rounding out the field. And the number 17, Ford. And Chris Buescher, keep an eye on him, as well as Allgaier and William Byron. Matter of fact, William Byron is going for his 3rd Daytona 500. And we'll get to the 3rd Daytona 500 chances. We'll get to that here in just a little bit, as there's a little bit of history behind that. And that is a look at your Daytona 500 dual winners and your starting grid for the 500. And now we'll go ahead and take a look at the pit stall selection. Here we go. This is the correct pit stall, folks. Scratch that last one. So, like I was saying, usually your first pit box, your last pit box, your pit stalls before before opening or after opening are very good. Or if you got some drivers that are going to be laps down and stuff like that, you kind of want to squeeze in there and take one of those spots before or after. So when we look at this, you got Kyle Busch at number 1 stall. That's a pretty good stall. So if we got this race determined, let's say we got 10 to go, you need to come in for some tires and some gas. Well, let's say the 8 car, they get out, they get on and get out, number 1. And in track position, if this is a handling race, that could be your winner right there based off that number 8 pit stall. You look at Kyle Larson there between the 21 and the 66. You also look at the 77 getting that one of those stalls. The Chase Elliott getting one opening right before Ty Gibbs. That's a little interesting to me. You got Austin Dillon getting one of those slide spots. Then you've got Ryan Blaney in one of those opening spots that we talked about. You got the 6 there to 22, and then you got Chase Briscoe taking the last pit stop. So you got Kyle Busch taking the first, and you got Briscoe taking the last. So that's a very interesting look at the pit stall assignments coming up for the Daytona 500 later on this afternoon. So now that we've got qualifying and the duels out of the way, so let's talk about what could be a factor in this Daytona 500, what this race could come down to this afternoon. First thing on my list to check, fuel mileage. Fuel mileage has been a very interesting point the last couple of years. And you got a lot of teams wanting to run half throttle now to stretch that fuel and to play some mind games. A couple of races come to mind with the fuel mileage. Go back to 1989 Daytona 500. Darrell Waltrip making a fuel stretch run, winning the Daytona 500. Second, I know it's not the 500, it's the Pepsi 400. Go back to 2003. Look at the Pepsi 400 won by Greg Biffle. That was won on a fuel mileage race and handling, which is coming up here in just a second. And also, we want to give our thoughts and condolences to the Greg Biffle family. And number 3, you've got the 2017 Daytona 500. That was won by Kurt Busch. And that race, we had numerous folks run out of gas coming to the white flag and the checkered flag. You had drivers like Chase Elliott running out of gas, Kyle Larson running out of gas, Austin Dillon running out of gas. So a very interesting 2017 Daytona 500. Second thing to look forward to, handling. This race is starting earlier. It's going to be hot in the sun. Could be a little bit of a shower here and there, but we'll get to the weather here in a second. It's going to be hot, though, this afternoon. So handling could be a factor. Later on in the runs, we could see cars a little stringed out. Go back to 2000 Daytona 500, Dale Jarrett, where you barely had any kind of passing. Matter of fact, you had Dale Earnhardt Sr. not happy about the package that NASCAR brought to that race. 2004 Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart show. That was a handling and pit stop race. 3, you've got to have speed. You got to have a hot rod under you. You can't be winning this race in the low brackets on speed. It's just not going to happen. You've got to have speed. 4, you've got to have some lady luck with you. You got to be at the right place at the right time. And I say this, take a look back at William Byron, 2025. He was 9th on the final lap and ended up coming across to checkered flag number 1. That was a heck of a race that I watched, and I was very excited for that. The seas just parted open, everybody crashing in front of us, and here comes Willie B on the outside going for that checkered. So you got to have luck. You got to be at the right place at the right time. You can't, and I also go back to the 2007 Daytona 500, one of the best and closest finishes in Daytona 500 history, with Mr. Where Did He Come From? Kevin Harvick snared that outside lane and passing Mark Martin at the stripe to win the 07 Daytona 500. And from there on, Kevin Harvick earned a nickname, the closer, for that reason. And also, number 5, weather. This also goes into luck too. You got to play that radar correctly. We could have some rain, potentially. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast, what the forecast is supposed to be from the National Weather Service today. We've got a 50% chance of showers after 1 p.m. Other than that, we've got partly sunny skies with a high of 81, so it's going to be hot. Now, from what I've looked at all week leading up until today, the model suggests that we could get this race in. Now, NASCAR did move the race up to 2:13 p.m. green flag. That's an hour from what it was the other day when it was scheduled to start at 3:13. So that is an hour. That will be critical. If we don't get any red flags or any big crashes, I lost 2001, the big wreck with Tony Stewart and that whole melee that took forever to get situated. If we don't have that, we should be okay on the rain. But once the rain gets here, it could be here for a while. So let's hope today we can get this 500 in with no delays and get it dry. That's a look at your weather report from the National Weather Service. So I want to also point out a couple of things. I told you a little bit ago, William Byron going for his 3rd Daytona 500. Well, no driver has ever won the Daytona 500 3 straight years. We've had 5 drivers win 2 in a row. So the first driver to win 2 in a row is Richard Petty, 1973 and 74. Now in 75, going for his 3rd, he finished 7th. We have our second driver, Cale Yarborough, 1983, 1984, and 85. Cale finished 36th. And Sterling Marlin, in 1994 and 1995, won the Daytona 500. In 1996, Sterling finished 40th. Denny Hamlin, our most recent one, 3-time Daytona 500 winner. Denny Hamlin won in 19 and 2020 and had the best finish going for his 3rd try in 2021 when Denny Hamlin finished 5th. So for William Byron today, it's a mixed bag. We've got 2 drivers with top 10 finishes and 2 drivers with bad finishes in the 40s, in the 36th to 40th range. So interesting to see, can William Byron get it done for a 3rd straight year? So that's going to be interesting to find out. So with that being said, the Daytona 500 coverage starts here in just a little bit on Fox, on your local Fox affiliate, with a pre-race coverage at 11:30 a.m. The green flag is at 2:30 p.m. And now let's get into some of what the expert and the odds makers are thinking, who's going to take home the Great American Race today. Let's get a look and see what they think. So, the CBS Sports, they've got their top odds to win the Great American Race. So, we'll start off at number 1, Joey Logano. 2, Kyle Busch. 3, Ryan Blaney. 4th, Chase Elliott. 5th, Denny Hamlin. 6th, William Byron. And 7th, Kyle Larson. Now, it also lists a couple of dark horses like Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell. It lists a couple of more. Those are what the CBS Sports, what their odds and their experts think is who's going to win this race. I'm going to go ahead and tell you my final prediction for this afternoon's event. Yes, I'm a William Byron fan through and through, but Kyle Busch today, I think it's Kyle Busch's lucky day. Just as it was when Kurt Busch won in 2017, when Jeff Gordon said it might be his lucky day, I think today it's going to be Kyle Busch's lucky day. The 20th try is going to be the lucky number today for Kyle Busch. And that is my prediction to win the Daytona 500. And now on the program, we are entering the final lap, the white flag lap, sponsored by Southeastern Sports Network. So, I need you to go ahead and the top of your screen, there's a barcode on the right side of your screen. I need you to scan that barcode. It will take you to our linktree.com account. It's got all of our social media platforms there, from Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. And you can also, on the bottom of your screen, it's got the linktree.com there as well, that you can type it into your web browser, whether you've got Google, Microsoft Edge, Apple, Safari. You can type that in and boom, it'll pull it up, and you can just click like, subscribe, and all that stuff. So I need you to do that. And I need you to be on the lookout on the Southeastern Sports Network page, because our coverage does not stop with the Daytona 500 or the Super Bowl that we had last week. We will have Baseball Now coming up with Scott in the next couple of weeks. And also that will have a look at our fantasy baseball season, which is now going to be viewed public. And you've also got WrestleMania 42 shows coming up, and golf, the major golf, the Masters coming up as well, and disc golf, and more stuff, which you can only catch that on Southeastern Sports Network. So that is our final turn. And I'll just leave you this. Strap those belts tight, get those engines revved up, and let's go racing, boys. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody.